Hey everyone, so I'm joined here with Sirenia from Norway, and I would like to ask them some questions.
I'm Martin from Sirenia, and I play bass and sing.
And I'm Emma, I'm the singer of the band Sirenia.
There's a few new elements that we brought into this album. I think first of all, maybe Emmanuel is using a little bit more of her classical techniques in this album. I think we also on the technical performance side, I think that we have improved a lot with this album, and there's some elements, typical elements that we didn't really use before. For example, on the song "Love Like Cyanide," we brought in singer Janis from Beast in Black, who did vocals for us, and it's more, power metal kind of vocals, the type of style that we didn't use before, and we brought back a little bit more of the extreme elements that we maybe had on like the two first albums, even harder on this new album, I say. So we did more of the French language as well. Emmanuel wrote the lyric for one of the songs in French. We wrote the song together. I wrote the English parts and she wrote the French parts, and she did some translations into French. I think there's some new stuff, and always try to find some new sounds that we didn't use in the past, and we also brought back a violin player, which we also haven't been using for quite some albums now, and so it's I think the album is a very diverse album and a good mix of old Sirenia and new Sirenia, I'd say. So it's the album. I mean, it feels like a natural evolution from the previous one, but I think we've been able to take this album to the next level, in my personal opinion. I've always been a fan of black metal. I'm very open-minded when it comes to music, so I really listen to music from more or less every genre. Black metal is something I've listened to for many years. I think even since early '90s, when black metal started to surface in Norway, and it was from some of the first songs I ever wrote as a composer. There was some of those elements there in the music, and it's still a genre that I really like and listen to every now and then. Bands like Dimmu Borgir or Satyricon, for example, have released some really cool albums lately, and I listen to, of course, a lot of the old stuff, and so it feels natural for me to include those kind of elements in the songs. There was some years, maybe like in the mid period of Sirenia, where I didn't really use much of it anymore, and at some point I felt the need, or I felt it was natural to bring it back again. And
can't you see? Tell me why you still.
It's just a technical thing, I think. It's I just try to keep everything I've experienced in every kind of music I did, and it's not something very difficult for me. What can be more difficult for me and what can take more time is when I'm going in tour for opera, for example, for 1 month.
Yeah.
And coming back to the metal technique after 1 month of opera, it takes time to adjust my voice to move from a technique to another one.
Yeah.
And the same in the other way when I with them, and I have to sing opera. But on the album it's not so hard, because it's just singing in an operatic way for just one song is more easy for me after that to go to the metal technique on another song. I don't know if I'm clear, but
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I mean, inspiration I can draw that out of anything around me. It can be a movie I see, or it can be other music I listen to. It can even just be like the Norwegian winter in itself. It's for me really inspirational, and actually the time of year where I'm most creative and most productive. Most of really a lot of my ideas I make in wintertime, and there's something about that special atmosphere. It's really cold outside and it gets dark really early, so you really don't feel that need to be outside, and you tend to spend a lot of time inside in Scandinavia at this time of year. Maybe it's probably more or less the same here in Russia. And for me, spending all this time inside becomes very natural to spend most of my time in the studio and compose. And there's something peaceful and quiet about the winter that gives me the calm and the inspiration to write.
Here we go once again. Nothing's changed.
I mean, it takes a lot to play in a band, you know. You have to make a lot of sacrifices, and you have to be like really motivated, because you know there's a lot of time that goes into this, you know, with the traveling, with preparations, with everything, and so it's like, you know, it's got to be something that you truly want by heart, you know. It's like this kind of life is more, it's a lifestyle, it's more than a job, really, you know. And so you gotta mean it 100%, otherwise it will absolutely not work at all, you know. And so that's pretty much the main thing. You gotta really want it, you know, to be able to get there. And kind of important that that goes for all the members in the band, you know. If you have some guys in the band that, you know, put their heart and soul into the band, and some people who doesn't really make music a priority in their life, is always gonna, you know, that one guy will hold the entire band back, and there will be frictions and people will be unhappy, and you know, you should look for somebody who has the same kind of idea, you know. We just do this for fun, you know, like maybe rehearse 2 times a month and have a few drinks and have a social thing together, and everybody's happy with that, and that works fine. But you know, to really be in a band like full time, it takes a lot, and you need to be ready.
Can't you see? Tell me why.
Well, I say my career started, like, you know, in 1996. I think was when I got my first record deal with a label, and record an album and get right, you know. And I'd say that in that time up until now, you know, it's been 22 years, and I'd say that the whole music industry has changed really a lot. When I got into it, I had kind of, you know, an impression of what it was about and how it was working, you know, from things I was reading. I had a lot of friends at the time who were musicians in other bands who had been touring before me, you know. I heard their stories, and so I had a really good impression of what it was all about. And as soon as I started touring myself, it was, you know, I felt, you know, most of it was true, you know. It was like pretty much like that, and you discover new things along the way. But I think that, yeah, it has changed so much over the years that the music industry in 1996 and the music industry today is like two completely different worlds. It can't be compared at all. It's just like
Do you think it's easier today for bands?
absolutely not. It's like 100 times more difficult.
Much more difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
That's good advice for them.
I guess it's more depressive advice rather than good, but it's the truth, unfortunately, and it's better, people being prepared for it than just thinking this is gonna be some glamorous joyride or something like that, because it's absolutely not. We have fun for sure, but there's a lot of hard work behind everything, and there's a lot of sacrifice. I have my best friends, I had families, getting married and stuff, and I missed out on a lot of these really nice, important things in life, because I was so true to my music at all times, and being away from family, traveling, all that stuff, it's hard sacrifices, and it's sacrifices that people normally don't do unless they're like 100% dedicated to music, and it has to be that lifestyle. You can't look at it as a job, because then you're not really willing to go that far.
Yeah.
So it's if it's in your blood and in your heart, then you can do it. Otherwise, it's impossible to get very far with music today, because it's so hard, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get this question every now and then, and the thing is, there's hilarious stuff happening quite often, but every time I get the question, it's like my mind just blanks out, and I can't really recall the thing. But I remember the very first tour that we did with Sirenia was a European tour, and we had a bus driver that was kind of acting a bit weird. In the first night, he got stopped by the police 3 times, and he got 3 tickets for speeding and for driving too close to the bus before him. And we met this fella, and it was like every time I came into the venue, the bus driver was there, and he should normally be sleeping in daytime. He's driving all the night, and so after a week, it was like people were wondering, why is this bus driver never sleeping? And at some time, we discovered after that week that he was completely high on drugs.
Oh, wow.
And he's been drugged out of his mind on speed for like 1 week straight. He didn't sleep for 1 second, and he was driving that bus with all of us. We were like 20 people inside that bus, sleeping every night, basically giving our lives into his hand, and he was behind the wheel, drugged completely out of his mind. And when we discovered, we decided to call the police to come and get him before he was, making a serious accident or something. And when he found out, he threatened to kill us in our sleep, and all kinds of interesting stuff. So it was.
That's pretty crazy.
That was a really and it was actually in that tour. Our drummer at that time, he said, "I can't do this anymore," and he just left in the middle of the tour, and the violin player left in the middle of the tour, and so it was a very chaotic first tour, and a lesson learned, and luckily we didn't encounter that same problem any time later. So I'm very happy about that.